What are your financial plans for the year 2013? Today we're speaking to Washeke Ndwati-Omanga from www.centonomy.com.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Yvonne. Glad to be here.
All right. Has your new year started off well when it comes to finances? Do we all struggle the same thing?
Everyone in January,
thoroughly broke at this time?
everyone in January struggles because December people don't want to hear about anything. They're having fun.
Right.
They've got Christmas presents to buy. They've got relatives to go home and see. And then January comes and it's back to stop being in denial about your money. Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of us do struggle in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we not struggle in January? What do we need to do?
Yes.
Obviously now
Yes.
we're in the middle of it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But perhaps, you know, going backward,
Yeah.
what should we have done better to make
Yes.
sure that at this time we're
Yes.
not suffering as we are?
Yes, so hopefully this time next year
We
you're
will
not
be-
you're not
yes.
suffering like you're suffering today.
Exactly.
Well, I think what I want to tell people this year, as I was thinking about the theme for this show, is actually we need to start getting out of our comfort zone. I think even from the previous speakers who have been here before, it's all about Kenya needs to get out of our comfort zone, people need to change. So I think even on an individual level with your finances, that's what we need to do.
Right.
So the first thing I tell people, even before you start trying to say, what do I spend, how do I spend it, do you know where you are financially today? As you know, I teach a class on
Yes.
personal finances, and what has come out of that class is when we start teaching it, people don't know where they're starting from. It's actually like trying to tell people, from Mombasa Road, you're going to Westlands. How do you get to Westlands if you don't know you're in Mombasa Road?
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
So you have to list down, and a lot of people are very scared of doing this because we all like living in denial, and we hope at some point, at some place in the future, there's this deal that will come and will mysteriously solve all our financial
Right.
problems. But today, just even before you do anything, list down what exactly do you owe? How much school fees do you owe? How much do you owe on your credit card? All your loans, how much do you owe? As in, if you were to pay it back today, all the obligations you have, what would you actually need? And then on the other side, list what you have. It makes you very clear about what direction that you actually need to take. There's no point telling you to cut down on your spending if you don't know why you should be cutting down on your spending. So when you actually come to terms with this is exactly how much I owe, then maybe you'll find yourself a bit more frugal with spending, but also you'll start seeing ways of, it opens your eyes to actually ways of actually making the situation a lot better. So that's the first exercise. I call it a personal balance sheet.
It's
Yeah.
difficult to do, Washeke, though, isn't
Yes.
it? Because you have to be brutally honest with yourself,
Yes.
which is hard to do.
Yes, but awareness is the greatest agent for change. So without that honesty, you will actually never move from where you are. And a lot of people with their finances, they always find themselves stuck.
Yes.
They wonder why they're in the same place. Yeah. They wonder why this year they're setting New Year financial resolutions that they set last year and the year before and the year
Right.
before. Yeah.
Yes.
But without this very important part, you will never move forward. If I know I owe 30,000 shillings on my credit card, then I might stop using my credit card.
Okay.
But if I don't,
Yeah, it's as simple as
it's
that.
as simple as that,
Right,
yeah.
yes.
But if I don't know that I owe 30,000, I'll keep swiping and
Yeah.
making minimum repayments,
Right.
yeah, because I've not come to terms with how much I owe. Yes, it's scary, but I say feel the fear and do it anywhere, and move on from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first step is assessing where you are now,
Now.
doing it honestly,
Yes.
and saying this is what I owe.
Yes.
This is what my life is. Okay. So
yeah.
then what next after
What
that?
next? Then you can say, okay, what do I need to survive on a day-to-day basis? We've talked about, and articles have been written about budgeting over and over and over, but you wonder why aren't people actually getting it?
Yes.
Yeah, people do a budget. A lot of people have probably done a budget in January, and by March they will not be following the
February,
budget.
actually.
Yeah, by February, or they do it and they say, I can't actually keep up with the budget.
Yes.
But what it does, it shows you if you are spending more than you earn. And from our classes, a lot of people realize when they list their monthly expenditure, they are spending more than they earn. You're not aware of how much you're spending because you just go to the ATM, you throw 5,000 shillings here, 2,000 shillings there, you lend 1,000 shillings to someone, you go have a cup of coffee, you spend 300 shillings. So you're not aware of how much you're spending. So I'll be fine. You don't want to do your budget? Fine, don't do it. But from today, just for a month, track every cent that you spend money on. Yeah, and then tell me after that if you don't want to do a budget, because people are shocked about the little expenses. I'm not even worried about your rent, your electricity bills. That's not what I'm worried about. But the little expenses on a day-to-day basis is what people should be aware of. I spent 300 bob on lunch, then I bought coffee, then I paid for parking. So people can leave the house with 1,000 shillings, you know very well, in your wallet, in cash.
That's true.
By the end of the day, there's none, and you've got nothing to show for it.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's actually what I'd encourage people to actually track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've taken a look at what our financial position is.
Yes.
We now, at least for this month of January, track our finances.
Track your finances. So if people carry phones, a small notebook, say, okay, I've spent 200 bob on this, I've spent 300 bob on this. Because back to what I'm saying, I think people need to get out of the comfort zone. So let it shock you.
A reality
check of what you're spending money on, and then after that is when you can sit down and do a budget. Because if you do a budget without that, you're literally guessing.
Right.
Yes. You're literally guessing, or you actually don't know.
So a lot of people have come out of the holiday season where there's taking vacations, taking time off, and of course the usual with most Kenyans is let's go down to Mombasa and you know let's spend some money, and you know you just keep withdrawing money, and you come back. How do you plan for this? Because there's another set of Kenyans who look at others and say, well, how do they do that? How do they go on holiday? Because that seems like something for, you know, the well-to-do, and it seems like a really Western thing. But how do you get yourself at this point to have a holiday in 2013?
Now we're going to something called, another place where people struggle with, setting goals. Actually looking at a year in a more holistic way and saying, so moving out from existing month to month, because I earn on a month to month basis, to saying, during this year I want to take a holiday. During this year there's school fees to be paid for, so the larger expenses that you'll have. If you want to take a holiday in December, don't start figuring out how to go for a holiday on December 1st. Because what ends up is people now borrow, or they dip into the savings, or you know, liquidate an investment that they shouldn't liquidate simply to go on holiday. These expenses that don't happen every month, just like school fees or taking a holiday, start treating them as a monthly expense. Since people earn on a month-to-month basis, and most people can relate to a month-to-month basis, say, if I want to go on holiday, or if for the whole year, school fees is going to cost me 60,000 shillings, for example, for the whole year, what I need to now put aside is 60,000 divided by 12. So putting 5,000 shillings aside, or it could be a holiday as well, 5,000 shillings aside, in a separate account. Not your everyday.
So you need to have a holiday account.
Yeah, a holiday account or a school fees account, or separate. But back to what I was saying about expenses, the small expenses add up. If you're spending 300 shillings on lunch every day, that's 9,000 shillings every month. That's 108,000 shillings every year. There goes school fees, there's school fees, and there's holiday already. That's what I was saying, the impact of these small expenses really adds up. So a lot of people struggle because like how do I afford this holiday? But you don't realize that cup of coffee you're going every day to drink, that mandazi you're buying, that 11 o'clock you call the lady who brings samosas, mandazis. No offense to her trying to run a business, I respect her, but that actually, that there's your school fees, there's your holiday, there's other big expenses that you might want to do throughout the year.
Just do that math again. 300 shillings a day on lunch amounts to how much a month?
9,000 shillings. So 300 times 30, basically, that's 9,000 shillings. 9,000 shillings every month for 12 months. So 9,000 times 12
is 108.
Is 108,000 shillings. And just lunch. If you carried lunch from home, your shopping budget does not even increase. Your household shopping doesn't increase because there's a lot of food wastage anyway in people's homes that goes on. You can carry leftovers. And really, if you just really ask yourself, will I suffer? Will I be a sad person simply because I didn't go out for lunch every day?
That's true.
And
that is just lunch, Washeke.
It's just lunch.
It's just lunch.
It's just lunch.
There's probably airtime, there's probably coffee, you know, you do something at 11, you do something at 4 when you're at the office.
There's coffee, there's yeah, you said airtime, those phone calls that you make, not really because you wanted to say something, but you're just saying hi, but you didn't really have anything to say. There's entertainment over the weekends. Some of it is good, but some of it you're just doing because other people are doing.
You want to be seen.
And you want to be seen.
At a certain place. Or,
yeah. So hence tracking that, everyday tracking your expenses really helps you pinpoint these small expenses that can be saved. Yeah.
So like we said in the beginning, we set financial resolutions this year, next year, the year before.
Yes.
But we still find ourselves at the same place.
Yes.
In fact, for some people, based on where you work, every year you get an increment.
Yes, you do.
After your appraisal and that sort of thing, you get an increment. But somehow, it just seems like you still don't have that extra coin and that extra shilling. So what do you do to stick to those financial resolutions?
I'll just give you an example from one of the ladies who attended my classes, because I was doing feedback on where people have moved. And she said she had always been waiting for big money to save. So a lot of people cheat themselves. They're like, when I can afford to put aside 30,000 shillings a month is when I will start, or 100,000 is when I will start. Then she realized, fine, I can't do the 30,000. So this year I just started with 5,000. Yeah. So she started putting 5,000 shillings a month. And in 3 months she had the 15,000. But what it gave her was a confidence, like, oh, I can now do the 15,000. Yeah. Then she increased it. So a lot of people, where they go wrong is waiting for this huge amount of money without realizing whether you can save 1,000, 5,000, 15,000 or 50,000, there's always a place to save and there's always a place to invest. The key is to start. And starting actually helps you cultivate the discipline of doing it. Because if you actually go for the very huge amounts, chances are by next month you'll be going there and actually removing. But the small amounts, as we say, that it builds up consistently and over time. Yeah, and then giving yourself space to start learning, depending on what your goals are, where should I be saving, where should I actually be investing?
Yeah. And speaking of investments, what would your advice be for investments in 2013?
I'd advise people to always look for places. Apart from there are certain areas that you need to keep money safe for. Like if you're doing school fees, don't go and invest somewhere where the value could go down.
Right.
Because if you need school fees for next term, I had a lady who actually came to me and said, I have, this is school fees, what stocks should I buy? Shares are not the right thing for school fees, because you can't tell the headmistress, if my shares have gone down in value, can you give me a discount on school fees? You can't do that. So you'd pretty be looking at places that are safe savings accounts and things similar to that. But over and above that, now if you're thinking more long term, we've got to remember there's this animal in our life called inflation. Yeah. So if your lifestyle costs 50,000 shillings today, next year it will cost 60,000, the year after 70,000. So always try and put investments in places that will grow. Yeah, and to do that, there are a number of places that people could actually do, and they can think beyond the traditional investments. Even just saying, what skills do I have that could help me generate extra money?
Because when we think of investments in Kenya, we all think of the stock markets. And we think of shares, and you know, we do the ultimate mistake. I think that came out when Safaricom had their IPO. Remember, when everybody took loans to go buy the shares, and then when the shares finally made their first day of trading, they were lower than the price that most people had bought them at. What other avenues are there? You've talked about investing in your own talents, because we always think of stocks and stocks and stocks. What else is there?
I mean, there's a lot of places. I think people should just, as I said, get out of the comfort zone. Everyone is thinking the thing to do is buy a plot of land. The thing to do is buy a stock exchange. Those are not bad if they are if you have a definite what you want to do with them. If you're buying stocks, when do you want to sell them? Why have you invested in that company? Same thing with a plot of land. Do you want to build? But I have seen a lot of people who have dared to go out beyond the traditional. I mean, the speakers you had before were saying about we need to create employment, and it's us who need to do it. People who start using their skills and abilities. There's a lady I know, some of the assignments I give my class, and one of the ones that came up with this, someone who decided they're very good in making mandazis and chapatis. You see, people don't want to do the things that don't sound big. It's nice to say, it's nice to say I own a plot of land, but I'm making mandazis and chapatis at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not so. But in 3 months, she was generating an extra 100,000 shillings a month.
Oh, really?
She would make them, deliver them to a small shop she had bought, and get to work by 7 o'clock. But in 3 months, that business was making 100,000 simply because she was able to get out of our comfort zone. Okay. So one of the things we make people do in this class is, what are your skills? Yeah, and we've seen people who realize, I can make money by doing interior design, I can make money by doing a bit of photography, I can cook, I can actually write proposals. So people have certain skills, and I think your skills will always be your biggest avenue of wealth creation. Right. I have certain skills and I have time. What do you do over the weekends? What do you do after 6 o'clock in the evening? Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That example is fantastic.
Yeah.
We all want the cool things,
yes,
and the cool stuff,
cool
and sometimes
sounding things. Yes.
And sometimes it's the basics and the simple
it's
stuff.
the basics. It's sitting right in front of your nose. Can you write an article? Papers pay 5,000 shillings an article for a good article.
Right.
You can get 15,000-20,000 shillings a month extra that you can immediately go into savings and investments.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely investing in your skills.
Investing in your skills, and also thinking, this managing of expenses is good, and getting yourself together and understanding where you are is good. But if this year you say, okay, I'm going to stop spending 5,000 shillings here, next year what are you going to do? It can't be all about cutting down expenses, because how long can you do that if your income is not going up?
Right, you must generate more.
So thinking about, how do I generate income?
Okay.
Yes.
It's an election year and everybody's worried. Let's talk first of all on a personal level before we even go into businesses and people who are running all these small enterprises. But on a personal level, should we do anything towards the election time? Should we be putting aside money? In the event of anything, we are optimistic, of course, that everything will go well. But the election does come with its set of economic challenges, does it not? What can we do as individuals?
Okay. Of course, as you said, we are optimistic. I am optimistic that that elections will go well. But even elections aside, election can be part of it. There's one thing that is always prudent in anyone's financial planning, and that is what is called an emergency fund. Yeah, it's prudent. Something could go wrong with the elections, yes, but you could also lose your job. Okay. Yeah. So the same rationale is what I'm using here. An emergency fund enables you to, for example, if you lose your ability to earn income, something happens to the economy, the sector your business is in goes down, something goes wrong politically, how long can you survive without that income coming in? So as you plan money, start putting aside money that is in fairly liquid form, and by liquid I mean in a savings account, somewhere where you can access it easily. You're not liquidating shares, for example. You can access it easily. That can sustain your basic expenses for a given period of time. It's always advisable to build it up between 3 and 6 months. So elections is coming, so yes, you may want to have some money in liquid form, but irrespective of elections, it's always prudent for anyone to always have money in liquid form, that if they lose their job, if they lose their business, they can only survive. So that's my advice to
That's
anyone.
on an individual basis. Having an emergency fund. I suppose the same would apply to businesses. But also, what measures can they put in place to election-proof themselves?
Well, it depends on the sector that they're in. There's some businesses that are, because of the industry they're in, everyone is saying, oh, wait till elections. I've already spoken to people where their clients are telling them, after March 4th, talk to us. And there they did the same thing I was saying. They just need to have liquid funds that they can put aside. But it's also time for people to reevaluate that business. If that client is telling you that, is that the only type of business that can be done? Because for a lot of people, this election period has also opened up a lot of opportunities for business. So don't close your mind. Yes, we can't help it. We're in an election period. We can't help it. Everyone's focus is on elections right now. But what opportunities are being seen around the election period? And then since we are optimistic, you also have to make a call for yourself. Are you optimistic? What will happen after the elections? What sectors will grow? If everything goes well, what sectors will grow? Have you strategically placed yourself to be able to capture those opportunities?
Because there's an article on that in the Standard today, Job Center, about so many opportunities that are now available for printing, t-shirts, that sort of thing, being part of campaign teams of various, although that is of course short term, because after that some of those jobs might not be available. It's for a time only. When is the best time to start a business? A lot of people think it's the new year. Is this, or can you start a business at any time? Is the new year the right time to start a business?
You can start a business at any time. I remember I didn't particularly start my business in the new year. But what the new year does for most people, I said, they're in a new frame of thinking, they're setting new year financial resolutions. But a lot of maybe the clients that they're targeting, companies are also doing budgets.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're starting your business in a particular area, you now know the clients that you're targeting. Maybe this is when they're doing their budget, so this is the best time to make your proposal. So what happens generally worldwide, the new year people are making their plans. And if you get into those plans as they're making them in the new year, it's very good for your business. But you can't start a business whenever you feel you're ready, you've done the proper research for the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We have someone here on Twitter.
Yes.
We have Newton Karanza. Thanks for tweeting. You're saying, I'm watching and I must confess, I'm shocked that I am to blame for being broke. I just need to change my way of spending. So I'm glad we're helping you out. We have another one here from Wesh Kaheria saying, loving the financial advice. Do you have a Twitter handle?
Yeah.
I believe I tweeted that, didn't I?
Okay.
Yes. It's at Centonomy.
At Centonomy with a C.
Yes.
C-E-N-T.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Talking about shillings and cents. So yes, at centonomy.com. Let's talk about financial intelligence, financial awareness. I think it's very much, maybe most of us take it like parenting, like marriage, like friendships. We think, well, we're born with this, aren't we? I can do this. I can manage my finances. But you teach people on money.
Yes.
Yes. Do we really not know much about money as we should?
Yes, we don't. We assume we know.
Yeah.
It's something that people think they should know. Others make the mistake of saying, I'm a banker, so I'm an accountant, so I know. I'm a CEO. We've had CEOs in our class where like, I actually didn't know and I'm running a company. Or I'm running a business and I should know. I'm in media talking about this every day, so I should know. So people think they know. But what we teach in this class is it's not even so much the technical, the principles of money people don't understand. Like when we go in the example of your lifestyle will not cost you the same in it's the aha moment. What exactly is an investment? There are a lot of things that people think are investments, like e.g. your car is not an investment.
No, it's a liability.
It's a liability.
Absolutely.
And it depreciates in value, so it can't be an investment. Same thing as everyone in Kenya is striving to own a home. Owning a home is a good thing, but it is not an investment because you live in the house. Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of people are spending all their time, all their money trying to buy a home. So one day you have your home, but you have no other income. You're retired. What does the house do for you? So we teach those principles and we get people to change their minds and actually ask themselves, what is important to me? Not everyone else, because everyone in the world is everyone else is saying, yes, if you buy this car, you will be more important and all that. So what is important to you and how do I actually structure a financial plan that I am motivated to follow? So it's about empowering people to make decisions for themselves.
Okay, all right. And in your class, what's the most mind-blowing thing I think that people get to see after your class? That aha moment that everybody has. I didn't know that.
Okay, it's a concept we call, and it's called time value of money. One, how you use your time and how when you're wasting time, chances are you're wasting money. So the relationship between time and money, but also from a practical aspect. If the school I want my child to go to college in 10 years costs 300,000 shillings a year today, it will cost 2 million shillings in 10 years. So from the feedback we received, that's one of the most, because people plan for future expenses, but with today's amount in mind.
That's right. And it won't be the same.
It won't be the same. So you have to start planning for the future. And also just getting the confidence that, yes, I have a job, but if I want to earn a certain amount of money next year, what am I doing this year about it and what are the specific actions? If I'm on Facebook at work the entire year and I ask for a salary raise, so if I want my employer to pay me more next year, what is my plan? It's getting people to take responsibility, because people blame their employer. I think employers are over-blamed. Or my employer is not paying me money, but what did you do about it? And what I was saying before, do you have a skill that you're sitting on? So just getting people to realize and get confidence in themselves.
Yes, and of course, our class is something that you should definitely consider, without sounding like I'm touting it for you. But you know, people really do need to understand money. What is the one thing that you think we should be focusing on in 2013 as far as money goes? What's the one lesson that we should try and inculcate in ourselves?
Okay, fine. It's about getting, for me, 2030 is about getting out of our comfort zones. I think we're getting out of our comfort zone as a country, and I want people to get out of the comfort zone as individuals. So the one thing I'll emphasize is creation of income. I would like to see people on an individual level have more confidence in themselves and saying yes. People ignore the small opportunities. You ignore opportunities to make 3,000 shillings extra a month. Yeah, but it's only by doing that 3,000 shillings extra a month that you will learn and make it grow to 5,000 and make it go to 10,000. Everyone is trying to get the opportunity that will make them 100,000 shillings a month.
Right.
But can you make 3,000 shillings extra a month?
To start with.
To start with.
Yes.
Maybe that's your phone bill already.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And only by doing it do you move forward. Everyone's trying to get to the end without actually doing anything.
Without starting at the beginning.
Yeah. So I'll just tell people to think creation of income, even with investments, is to ask themselves. I have a client who realized, yes, he has acres of land, but once he lost his job, that land was doing nothing for him. He couldn't go to Nakumatt and shop because it's a land, and it's nice to say, but it's not.
It just sits there.
It's just sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah. So now he has to try and liquidate, but he's like, now it's about, even if you invest, how does it create income in the future? A lot of people say cash flow is king.
Yes.
It really is.
It really is.
It really is.
And cash flow at this time is pretty tight.
It's
pretty tight. Okay, so we've talked about the plans that we can have for the year. What we should do so that at this point next year, we're speaking a little, we're speaking a different language. But what happens, we're stuck in a rut right now. Is there anything we can do, just, in the short term?
Okay.
Of course, there's the loans, there's the salary advances, there's the instant loans that we're all running for now. But are there some things we can do now to mitigate the circumstances that we find ourselves in at the moment?
I think you've actually said it. Usually when people are feeling stuck in a rut, it's to do with debt. Yeah, a lot of people, if there's one area they're struggling with, continue struggling, probably took a bit more debt over the holidays. It's actually debt. So back to, I'll just link it to the example I was giving. Do you buy lunch every day? Just cut down on just that one expense. Just lunch or whatever it is for you, coffee, whatever is relevant for you, and put that into making extra payments onto your debt. I have people who've done that, who've worked with me, and in 2 years they've actually cleared their debt. So we also don't realize the small amounts of money. Just because the bank has told you the repayment is 9,000 shillings doesn't mean you only have to do 9,000 shillings. It's in the bank's favor for you to do 9,000 shillings.
Yes.
But if you can make that extra payment into your loans, into your debt, then the debt will actually be paid down a lot faster, and then that money comes back to you to now save, invest, and do and actually do other things with. Salary advance, I'll just touch on that because a lot of people have asked me about that. Salary advance started simply because of one thing. At some point, your expenses went above your income.
Which is why you need your money in advance.
And it never gets corrected because it's constantly above your income, so you're constantly asking for a salary advance. So the only way to stop a salary advance is get your expenses back below your salary. And it may need hard choices. You may need to cut down some of the luxuries you have in your life, and that's something that people, getting out of comfort zone, that's something people don't like to do. They don't like, what if I cut down on certain things, what will other people think? But it's not about other people, because when you're in a rut, you're alone. So it's take the tough choices and just cut down on expenses.
All right. Let's address a few questions before we wind up our discussion. Dan from Sukari, you say, hi, I have a plot piece of land, but I feel like it's not helping. I'm broke and that's my money lying there. What would you advise?
Dan needs to find a way of making that plot generate some money for him. I don't know, whatever it is, can he lease it to someone who can use it for something and rent it out to someone? Or he needs to figure out, if he sells it at the current value, could he do much more with that money? And that's an important point. People have a very strong attachment to land.
Yes,
and
we do. And as long as you have a plot and you fenced it, I think that's a great sense of achievement.
But if you have a plot and you're facing liquidity problems, look at how that, if you if he got that money, what can he do something else with it that can actually generate more?
Okay, yeah. Okay. And that's the thing you were saying before about land. You know, that we want to buy land or want to buy a home, and then we go move in, and then there's no other source of income. Okay. We have Jane from Donholm. I'm sure there's a lot of women who are going to be relating to you, Jane. I'm an impulse buyer, from Mitumba clothes to new ones, you name it, which I don't even wear for a year. How can I stop? Help me save, she says.
The account that Jane uses for everyday transactions, every time she's near a store, there's the ATM, whatever, that is not the same account that her money should be in. There are places Jane can put her money where she can't even access it that easily.
Okay.
So you can take about 4 days to get your money out. By that time, you've really, the impulse emotion has really left, So it's about just, Jane, any money she wants to put aside should not be in her current account. A lot of people make the mistake of, even my savings is in my current account.
But you wouldn't tell the difference.
You won't tell the difference. And if it's an ATM, if it's especially your where you save should not have an ATM card.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So if it does burn it.
Yes. If it does burn it, that's not the account that should be. So our money needs to be in a separate place so that the money is not in the account.
Okay.
So when you're paid, if you want to save 5,000 shillings a month, let a standing order, if possible, leave for a different place. So by the time you have access to the account, the savings has already gone.
And you know something, what happens when you go shopping, whether it's the thrift stores or even the newer ones that sell new clothes, if you don't have enough money, they are the ones that suggest, oh, there's an ATM right around the corner.
Absolutely.
If you don't have enough money, you can always just, you know, go around the corner and get some more money. And,
absolutely. Or we take credit cards. So if you're an impulse buyer, don't carry your credit card. Leave it in the house for emergencies, but don't carry your credit card. And also at the beginning of the month, when you're paid, do all the necessary big expenses you need to do. Shop for food for the month. Pay rent immediately. Pay electricity, so that you pay school fees, so that your important expenses are not being compromised by impulse spending.
Okay. This is something a lot of women suffer with, buying clothes. I know I have been guilty of it. I look in my closet and there's things I have not put on, but it feels good. You know? The closet is full. That's what women sort of grapple with. For men, do they have the sort of same impulses that women do when it comes to spending, and what is it that they're spending on?
For men, from what I've seen from our class, men, it's not clothes. A man, but it's clothes in a different way. A man wants black trousers. He will go to the first shop, he sees black trousers and just buy, irrespective of the price. A woman wants black trousers, it's just that she will visit 10 shops before she buys the black trousers. So even for the men, sometimes they don't look at, could I have gotten this cheaper? But for a lot of men, I know it's gadgets. It's phone, it's accessories for the phone, and things like that. So they also do suffer from the same problem.
And it's just all about, really cutting it off. Okay, we have another one here. Amir saying, hi, I always read and watch Washeke. She's my remedy for finance. I wish to talk to you in person as I want to be an entrepreneur in property at the coast. Any tips for him?
The property investment is a big thing, something that we cover exhaustively. So when someone is looking at buying property, wherever it is what do you want out of that property? A lot of people buy property just for the sake of having property, but they've not thought, is it in a location that's growing that I can develop something? If I'm buying a plot or a piece of property to sell, they've got to go through the thinking of, why would someone come and buy it from me?
So
so they've got to think, what is happening in this area that someone will want this piece of land? But a lot of people have found themselves buying property in places and having to hold it for 10 years because they didn't do research of what is happening in that location properly. And then there are obviously the different types of property.
All right. Let's talk about your classes. You have one coming in February.
Yes, we start February 5th. It's flexible, so there are a couple of days, that options for days that people can attend. It goes on for 10 weeks and we cover a different topic every week. Make people go home, do assignments and come back.
So this is serious business.
Yes, it is.
This is no joke.
No, this is about learning, and everything you learn, go and implement it and then come back, so that we're not talking theory, we're talking practical, and so that your financial life can actually change after that.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one of the financial resolutions that I think you can make for the year is join one of these classes. Don't think you know everything. Yeah. You can't absolutely know everything. Washeke, that's February the 5th?
Yeah, February the 5th is the starting date, and registration is ongoing at the moment. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. I think, as somebody has said here on Twitter, you've given me a good start to the week, from Sakaja to Washeke, of course. Looking at the entire spectrum, which is what we're all about. Washeke, thank you very much for your advice. And of course, I think the most important thing that has come out of that, she said there's a lady who makes mandazis and chapatis, is it? And she's now making 100,000 a month. You know, after just 3 months of starting that, meaning you need to identify other investment options, and some of those investment options could be yourself and your talent. Her class is definitely something you want to do. Her website, if you want some more information, is www.centonomy.com. The Twitter handle is @Centonomy. You can also tweet me as well, and I can send you the details. So that's it. We've been talking about your financials this year and how you can make that money work for you. I think someone tweeted and said, what money? Clearly, there is no money at the moment, but all is not lost. And you can definitely make a start. Even if you're going through a tough time right now, maybe you can have in some stopgap measures, maybe, you know, a bit of a loan and everything. But from now, make that plan for the next 11 months, so to speak, and see what difference that makes. We will definitely have Washeke again and again in the course of Sunrise Live, and we'll be talking about different aspects of your finance and your money. And that's what we are about here. Make sure you're all-rounded, well-informed in everything from politics to your money. It's time to wind up our show this morning, and I'm looking for your tweets and your texts. So I think I've answered all the ones on finances. Our question of the day today, we asked you what you think about the saga regarding the fake policeman. What are your thoughts on that? And you've been sending in your text messages, and my, oh my, are they many. We have one here saying, oh, the same thing happens right here in one of the areas in Nairobi where we know them. They're fake policemen with guns and uniform. We have another one saying, you have no faith in the committee that's been formed by the president because it's simply to cover Itere. We have Joseph saying Itere has a lot to answer for. We have Jane also mentioning here that you are worried about the state of the police force, and that the new Inspector General needs to do something about it. Of course, many SMSs coming in. That's all we have time to share with you at the moment. So many other SMSs coming in. Thank you so much for your feedback from everything we've discussed this morning, from looking at TNA and indeed the Jubilee Coalition and the plans that they have for this country, to looking at your money. That has been a Sunrise Live for today. We do hope you'll join us again tomorrow. The show gets better and better. This is the first for the year 2013. I do hope you will keep it with me every day, Monday to Friday, this week, next week, the week after, right up until the end of the year. This is the only way to wake up in the morning, know what the world looks like before you step out. Thank you for joining me. My name is Yvonne Okwara. Be blessed. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.